Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's Mark from Power Sonic and Apprentice 121. Today we're going to have a go at installing this Philips LED floodlight. It's a Gen 3 version, and we're going to use the Steinel PIR. You'll see on there it's a little bit different. We'll show you it in detail when we're putting it up outside. I've got Matthew with me today. This is an asymmetrical floodlight. So you can get symmetrical and asymmetrical. It's just a different pattern of light that it fires out, and when you're going from a dark to a light space, the recommendation is to use asymmetrical lighting. So that's what we're doing here. I'll explain a bit more about that later. This is 200 watts, 400 K colour rating, and 21,000 lumens. So we're going to need a proper electrician to install it. I could only find Matthew, so he's going to jump up and give this a go. We'll run through exactly what we're going to do. There's a bit of weight to this, so there's some unique requirements around fixing this. It is a steel frame building with cladding, so we're going to show you how we tackle all of that. Let's get straight on with the video and we'll hear more from Matthew later on. So those of you familiar with the space here will know we're working from this Proteus distribution board we put in ages ago. So we've got our lighting circuit that essentially comes off through this conduit down to an outside light switch here, and runs up through conduit into this here, into the steel frame, and then out, if you can see up there, through that conduit box to a light outside. Now at present we have no PIR control, it is just on and off switching, as you can see up there. It's not especially bright either. There's quite a big area. If I come back a little bit further you'll get a better view of it. And we're turning up here with other people late in an evening, with it being winter and it is especially dark. Having to go inside and switch the lights on first is counterintuitive. So we're going to change things. We're going to pop our light fitting up here. As I said, this is a clad building, so it's steel clad on the outside and the sheets on the inside. So there's issues with getting a good fixing through. This one has just been self-tapped into the steel, if you can see up there. So we're going to pop that one down first and foremost, and Matty's going to work his magic to get us the cable through for the PIR sensor. We're going to put somewhere here. We was thinking of popping it over to one side of the loading bays. We didn't really want to start messing about with the signage, although somebody has cut out for the light fitting around there. We're just going to drop it underneath. It'll work as intended and should give us some really good detection, and we'll show you how we achieve that with this particular PIR, which is actually full of unique features beyond some of the basic ones you can pick up, and we'll show you that as we move the video along. So we've got the health and safety supervisor with us on site today in Bruno. How are you doing, Bruno? He's happy, look. Matty's up on his steps. He's just going to take a look inside this conduit box and see what we've got up there already. The power is now off, so he's quite safe doing that. And the kind of chain of thought is we're going to drop some conduit down between these two bits of steel here and try and punch through straight into the back of the PIR sensor we're going to use. As you can see up there, there appears to be a little junction box. We got some connector blocks in there, Matthew? Yeah. Okay, so we've got twin and a half up to a flexible cable running out to that light, which kind of helps us out, so we can break into all of that and wire in our PIR sensor. First up, I'm going to suggest we get a hole through to outside in a place that makes sense. If we do it from the inside, you can see there's a little groove in the sheeting, so we can try and drop our conduit down inside here, and we can just punch that through. It doesn't especially matter where the detector is going to live outside, so we can line that up with that and make it look as neat as possible on the inside, and then we can start look at all the wiring. We'll get the fitting out. You can see we've got a bit of unistrut here and some threaded rod, and we've got our zebs, so that's kind of giving a bit of clue as how we're going to approach fixing this light up onto the building structure. We've got some flex as well. We're going to try and get conduit through the skin, so we're going straight through conduit. Obviously there's steel on the outside and then this steel cladding on the inside as well, so you don't want to be really getting your cables abrasion on that. Even using grommets, it's a little bit rough, so we're going to try and get some conduit through there as well. Thankfully we've got a professional installer in Matthew with us. He's got all his gear out ready to go. Bruno is busy eating, so he's obviously decided site supervision is all taken care of, and yeah, we're going to get on with that now. I'll show you a bit of it coming together and have a look at the products themselves as well. So there are some unique features to these, and we'll speak about those as we run through the installation. Okay, so we'll have a look at the detector first. You can see on the box it's got a 5-year guarantee. It will do 2 to 1,000 lux. 5 seconds to 15 minutes, and they recommend it to be between 2 and 5 meters from ground level. It's got an interesting look on it. There's actually detectors in the bottom and all along the front, so you're getting detection in lots of different angles and areas, and it's all adjustable on the bottom dials, as you can see there. So you've got your lux adjustment, you've got your time, and then you can set these individual sensors on the bottom for a range as well. So each one is controllable. If you're putting it near to a neighbour, for example, and you want to shut one down, they come with these masks. There's also a remote control, so you can see in here that is a way of actually working it without having to get up and start fiddling around with it, and that is useful when you think this might end up being 5 meters up, and getting to it to mess about with it isn't the easiest thing to do. But once we've got it energized, we'll show that. It looks a little bit futuristic, doesn't it? It's like a, I don't know, a bit of the Starship Enterprise. It's got that kind of vibe about it. Comes with a couple of accessories. One is if you're using trunking or conduit to come into it, there's a standoff plate. If you're mounting it on a post or something, there is a bracket for that, or on the corner of a building, you can do that as well. And obviously in our application, we can just screw it straight to the wall. So you can see this mounting plate detaches from the light fitting itself. We've got line and neutral, and that arrow dictates the switch line. There's also a screw terminal for the earths, if you're bringing any earths in, and a couple of grommets on the back for your cable entry. There is the fly lead off the sensor itself, which plugs into this, as you can see in the bottom there. So this is quite simple when you come to wire it and connect it onto the wall. So you can just screw that in place, really easy, and then you can then connect in the PIR itself. Now with these, I've seen some floodlights recently where they're kind of plastic brackets. I can't remember the manufacturer, but there's kind of a plastic shape that comes off a little bracket like this on the wall. My worry with that at a domestic level is that they're easily snapped. It doesn't take much for kids playing football or whatever out in the garden. They take a bit of a knock and your light's kind of ruined. I do prefer a metal bracket. However, with this PIR, kind of is what it is, and in the location we're installing it, I'm not anticipating that to be an issue. But something to bear in mind with all these plastic brackets and stuff, yeah, it's super easy to install, but sometimes we need to think about the locations they are being fitted into. And for me, with your security lights and such, you are much better off with a metal bracket, a bit more hard wearing and resistant to hooligans who may live in the property with you. So you can see up in the conduit box is the flex with some chock blocks. We're going to get that changed for where it goes, take you in a bit closer, but Matt's popped a little hole through the steel here, as I said. We're kind of trying to keep it in that groove so we can just pop a bit of conduit straight through. So we're going to pilot drill through from the inside to out to find where we are on the outside skin, and then pop a little hole through for our conduit to then pop in. You can see these quite sharp edges. So if you were just going to use these as they are, you really want a grommet or something in there to protect your cable. And my preference would be, as we're going to do, to pop some conduit through. And then we need to see if we can get a flexible cable up this length of conduit into that box to reuse it, or if we need to do something else up there. We'll see what Matty thinks when he's moved that on a little bit. He's just busy rigging up a drill bit for the outside, so we'll get on with doing that. I don't know where the safety supervisor's gone to, but he's obviously ditched things. I don't know if you saw that because Matthew's took the drill out already, but he is through pretty much in bang on a perfect place for this. It's just kind of in the midpoint up there on that one, so it's in the middle of this. It is under the light, but it shouldn't affect things. It should work correctly. We shall see if we've done this right. I've done it a few times before, so fingers crossed we know what we're doing. So the site supervisor's shown up because we're going to be footing some ladders, and he wants to make sure that's been done correctly. Matthew's just going to pop these out. You can see he's got his glasses on and his TIS hat. They're about the best bobble hats going, I think, those ones. What are you saying, Matthew?
Good. Nice and Christmassy.
Nice and Christmassy. Bruno, come on. Where are you going? Come on. You can't just ditch the job. Bruno, come here. Come on. Where are you going? Bruno. Matthew's just going to pop his our hole through. Okay, he's just going to move his ladders first. Bruno, where are you going? This isn't really the behaviour of a health and safety manager. Where's your high vis for a start? So you can see we've got our pilot hole through there. Mike's just going to pop that through. And now we've got a route through from A to B to pop our conduit in and get our cables in place. So we'll get on with doing that right now. Hopefully Bruno's satisfied. Probably writing us a ticket. So we're using some of the self-drilling, self-tapping screws here to secure the conduit box. You can see Matty up there drilling those in. So that's just to secure, obviously, a lightweight conduit box to the fabric of the building. And these are the easy drives. Pretty nice and simple. Got a little cutting tip on the end, as you can see in there, so it kind of digs through the metal and then threads itself in and gives a nice, secure and solid fixing. Come around this side, you might get a better shot of it. You see that's now grabbed on. Just needs to nip that up nice and tight, and we've got our conduit through to the outside, so our cable is going to be well protected. See poking out the building. Site supervisor still seems happy. All okay, Bruno? Good. So you can see we're through to outside. You can see daylight through our tube. We're secured onto the structure of the building. There is our junction box up there. I'm not as tall as Matthew, so I can't get you in as close. And we'll see if we can draw a cable into here. It does just come as twin and earth through this metal framing of the building. So we can hopefully force something up there to make a JB off without having to deconstruct everything. Worst case, we'll just do that. We'll make a little junction box a bit bigger and sort it all out from there. We'll see how we get on with that. But that's that bit ticked off, ready to move on to the next stage. So you can see we've got our flush conduit coming through now. We'll pop a little bit of silicone around the edge of that just to seal it as best we can. But the entry on this has already kind of got mini little grommets on, so we can't really make a hole and do much with that in terms of joining it into the conduit system. So we've just had to cut that off flush. We'll get our cable pushed through now, or say Matthew will, and then we'll screw this to the wall again with self-tappers. There's not a lot of weight to these, so that'll be absolutely fine. We'll just move on and do that right now. So the good old ergo strip just to get the ends cleaned off and through into the back. So you might just pop the grommet on there as well. It's a bit of a tight squeeze because we are bringing a 4-core. This is 1.5mm flex, so it's probably a bit OTT, but it's what we had here at the unit, so that's what we're using. Just pop one of the grommets out, fire that back in, shove the cable through and self-tap it to this outer skin. So we're in and through, and that's nicely in the back of there. So we can shove that cable back through now and get this screwed onto the wall nice and square. Hopefully the holes line up in the right place on this outer skin. It is a bit tricky when you're working with these because it's kind of in and out and there's not a great surface to fix to. But you can't make the best of it. Like I say, with a light up at the top, we are going to have to do something a bit different because this is just too wappy. You can kind of push it about with your hand. You wouldn't want to stick that up there with the self-tappers. That's one in, and we're just going to have to try and wiggle the other one in as well, and then we've got that nicely fixed, and we can wire away this Sentinel PIR detector and see what it looks like up on the wall. So you can see Matt is wired that away now with the 4-core. We've got he's flagged everything up as well, so he's far more professional than me. But these are push-fit terminals, and we've got our line, neutral, and the switch line out, and obviously a CPC in there as well for our cable. It's all fixed and secured to the wall. He's even popped some silicone over the screws, which is good. Actually, he's popped it over one. Maybe pop it over that second one as well, just to try and stop any moisture from getting in here. Fix this up in position, and we can move on with getting this bad boy down and the new one up. Okay, so you can see we've got this Philips leading air light here. So this is the Gen 3, and it is 200 watts, as I said earlier, 400k, 21,000 lumens, and up to 120 lumen watts per meter with 50,000 hours of life. So we'll see on that. We're going to put that to the test here at the Apprentice 121 Academy. It's IP65. It will work from -25 to +40, and it's pretty straightforward to wire and fit. You can see here it's telling you to use a junction box that is also IP65. It has a flexible lead off the back already. I'll show you that. And it is on the bottom of the frame as well, which is nice because that's going to help with the water tightness. There's a really strong and sturdy metal bracket. There is some weight to this, which is reassuring. So obviously some of these things don't tend to last the greatest amount of time, and I think it being weighty is maybe a good indicator that there's some quality components been used inside there. I would certainly hope so. And you can see here we've got the brackets on the side, so you can kind of undo that for fitting it onto the wall, which we're going to have to do in this case with the extra challenges we've got fixing onto this surface here. And yeah, we'll show you it going up on the wall. Just wanted to quickly mention about the symmetrical and asymmetrical. So your symmetrical lighting, you can kind of see it illustrating it here in these drawings, but that sort of scatters it in more of a wide direction, where your asymmetrical is a bit more focused and stops back glare. So for this, as we see, we're going through a dark space outside to a light space inside, and it's up against a wall. It makes sense to go for an asymmetrical light. But jump onto Google, just type in asymmetrical lighting explanation, and it'll bring it up in a way far better than I could ever try and tell you here. But yeah, it's good to have the options. This comes in both varieties. You can get it in symmetrical, you can get it in asymmetrical. So whatever application you need, Philips Steinel has you covered. That's the existing light. We're going to whip that one down. It's unscrewing from the wall, obviously, and we'll see how we get on with that, and then popping our new one up into position in just a minute. So you can see we've got our bracket screwed up onto the face of the building there. It's just with a tech screw in the middle, just so we can hold it easily. You don't want to be wafting that around on the top of your steps. And we can now mark our holes through for the bolts on the big bracket. Just a point of note, if you're fitting these, the wide bit in the corner on that bracket faces to the top, and the narrower bit to the bottom, so the little triangular bit in the corners there. Just need to make sure you get it set that way. And you see we've got conduit already through this at the top for the light fitting itself, so that's made life a little bit easier for us, and Matty can get on with just fixing that back and through, and we'll show you how we do that in just a second. So pop some threaded rod through to the outside and a length of unistrut on the inside. Still needs tightening and straightening up, but we've got that in place just to try and bear some of the weight on a wider span. It's obviously not going to fall off the wall, and that kind of rhymed, didn't it? So we've got that there. Again, cut this strut down with the M18 Beast from Milwaukee. This is mainly for the rails in solar stuff, but it's absolutely fantastic for cutting threaded rod as well. I'll show you outside where we've popped those through. You can see they're up there, just above the top of the steps there, and we can pop our bracket on now with some lock nuts and washers, and get the light up on the wall. So you can see we've got the light up now. We've got the threaded rod through both skins, and we've got a double nut on there, so there's a nylon nut and then a nut on the outside just to be belts and braces to know that's not going to come off. And Matthew can now thread the cable through the wall, as you can see up there. I'll show you a bit better when he's down off the steps, because I am sort of footing him down here as well, and we'll have a better look at what's gone on up there and explain what we've done. So you can see up there the light is now secured through, and we've got that ready to wire inside. Left a little loop on the outside, and then got our cord grip just to make sure we've got that weather seal. So the light itself is IP65, as we said. The sensor is IP56, so we're well covered for use in the application. I kind of tucked a bit under this gutter as well. So we're going to jump inside now. We'll wire those up. I'll just zoom out a bit, show you what it looks like from a distance. The other light was 30 watts. This is 200 watts, so it should be infinitely brighter once we get it switched on and have a look. Site supervisors out here just making sure the ladders are used safely. We can put them away now, and Bruno can relax. He's been really stressed out while we've been doing this, so obviously cares a lot about us. And yeah, there we go. That's up there, ready to go, and looking the business. So far so good. Let's see how this finishes up. So site safety, he's obviously putting a shift and a half in today. He's retired to next to the heater. Top work, Bruno. This all came from Cities, just to mention, so we bought this fair go, nothing gifted or otherwise, it's not paid or sponsored. We've bought the whole lot just to brighten up things around here for those coming in to see us. So you can see Matthew's popped some Wagos, Vagos, whatever you want to say, into the box there, just to remove the chock block. It looks neat enough from down here, so you're going to pop the lid back onto that, and then that's job done. You can see on the inside, we've got the threaded rod going through to outside, through the skin of the building. Obviously these skins are flexible, so we're trying to bear that weight as wide as possible as we can by using a bit of unistrut. It is tech screwed on the inside as well, and then we've got these M10 rods going through, and these are double nutted on the inside with nylocks holding it on the inside as well, and then as we showed on the outside, they're fastened all the way through. So it is about as secure as you are going to get when fixing like this. If you've got a different way of doing it that you approach it, drop it in the comments and let me know, but we're happy that it's going to stay in situ because the light is actually quite weighty. We don't want that falling on anybody's head. So Matt's just going to close that up now. Just to quickly show you the conduit here, we've used black because again, we've used all the white up down at the academy here, and it's got flex inside. We've not used singles just so we can take that straight up and in, utilising the same 4-core cable. We'll have a little close up of this video and see how it all works in a minute, but just to quickly show you outside again, you can see the light up there. I think that looks pretty good, and like I said, I'll zoom in as far as I can to show you those nuts on the side. So there's a good bit of thread. The reason we've popped lots of thread through is because you can slide your bracket over and it gives you a bit of purchase. Obviously said there's a bit of weight to these, so you carry the light up, slide it over those threaded rod, and then you can loosely spin your M10 nut on and then put your nylock nut over the top just to give it extra secure fixing. And you don't want to go too mad at these because you can start to warp the skins and pull them in. You're just trying to get it tight and that you know the nuts on each side are locked in position so they're not going to spin back off and the weight's kind of borne through on the skins of the building. I think it looks quite nice. These on the outer edges of these Philips lights, so if I zoom you back in again, if you can see on there, so there's the cover caps that go on, but they just have posi screws. There's also I think it's about a 17mm socket head if you want to go really nuts with it, but there's also the lock-in washer on the inside, so they're held super duper tight, and we'll see how it all lights up in the end. We've got to set this Sentinel up now. As you can see on the underside of there's all the dials and switches to adjust. There's also the remote control, so we'll see how all of that works and get some power turned onto this in just a minute. So we've got that set now. Matt's just walk tested it. I don't know if it's strobing on camera or not, so I won't stick to that, but just turn it up, yeah, stick it up to about a minute or two and then swing it all the way around to dark. Let's take it to pitch black. If you take it all the way around, don't really want it messing about until it's fully dark. And yeah, we're kind of picking ourselves up. If I step back over here, so we've managed to set the range by dropping the sensitivity at this side, so just as someone approaches in there, and then again over here someone's approaching for that way, and we've kind of set it just to pick me up roughly where I am here at the edge of our area on here. And yeah, it's working pretty good. I'm happy with that. I think it looks quite good on the building. Hopefully it's going to light up the area nice and bright, and we can see what we're doing a bit better when people are coming in on an evening, because it was a bit of a dark spot with that little 30-watt LED light that was up before, and with no PIR control it was annoying as well. So you can see we've got our light up there, and Matthew's just turned it on with a remote, spoiling my little section of the video because he's a useless goon. But just hold the remote up a bit into the shot so we can see it. So he's there. If he presses the on button on the remote, you can see it will turn the light on and off. We can turn it off from the remote. Now if I have a look at this, there is other options on there as well. So you can see there's an install button. If you press install, it basically puts it into a walk test mode, so you don't have to get up underneath the light and start faffing around with all of the settings. You can simply do that, and as you're walking around it will illuminate and it will then go off and such during a normal walk test. And let me just deactivate that by turning it off and on again. So that's good if you have got this set up at a height you can't get to easily access. And equally, if you want to chuck that in your van or whatever for when you're rocking up to the light. You can turn it on and off remotely should you wish. So a nice little feature there for the Steinel. I've been saying that wrong. I think I've been calling it Sentinel. It's Steinel. So that's a really good PIR detector, 300 degrees range, IP56 I think, and there's all the user settings on the bottom if you just want to do it the traditional way. But if they're not quite set right and you want to make some adjustments, you can use the remote. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video of us installing the Philips Steinel 200 watt LED light. Bruno's been Chief of Health and Safety. He's taken his job for the day really seriously. This is a nice little touch. So the Steinel PIR detectors, if you've not checked those out before, please do so. What did you make of installing all that, Matthew? Pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
So nothing is a challenge for this team. If you've got any questions in and around this install, please do drop them in below. This will be the Christmas video, so probably the last one for 2023 now. So we're back in 2024. I've already got a load of content on solar PV, but I thought we'd have a bit of a break from that in this one. And yeah, highly recommended. Great value, I think, for what you get. Go and check it out. I'll drop a link in the description over to CEF. So if you want to make a purchase yourselves, you're more than welcome to do so. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Say bye, Bruno. No, you want to cuddle instead.